Hey, what's up, Future Gen? Dr. Stan here, and I have a little trepidations in making this video. Although at my core, I'm incredibly excited at what the future holds for future generations. I will say, you are getting an email. This should come with an email, and I invite you to read the entire text of not just the email but the entire blog that comes alongside, which are my words that I dictated into my phone and then proofread and then tried to polish up to make this as respectful, appreciative, inspired, excited, and honestly enthusiastic about what's to come. Right, in a sense that, like, literally this office, I wanted to shoot this video here. I shot several takes over the weekend, and I didn't like really any of them. And I think it's because I wanted to shoot the video from our office. This is where I've done now 104 episodes of, the Future Generations podcast. It's where we've had 8 years of service to our community. It's where we've been literally one of 62. We became one of 62 practices that has docs that have achieved the highest level of distinction clinically and academically, that serves families, growing families, essentially prenatal and pediatric specific chiropractic, alongside just being able to see what we call all generations in a clinical model that expects miracles literally from day one. When we first started, I'm looking out the window right now, and the way that this room is facing was facing Best Start Birth Center. They became some of our best friends really quickly. We became a integral part of the natural birthing community here in San Diego, and we've done that from the very beginning. You've grown with us. I've grown my family here. I met my wife here, and we now have 2 kids, and many of you have had 4, sometimes 5, if not more, children not under our roofs, but under our care. And I don't take that lightly. Like, it's literally a love, a deep, deep, deep love that I have for you. And I don't say that lightly. And I know you know that. And what I'm announcing here is something we didn't plan. And maybe erroneously on my part, because the owners, who are so amazing. When I stepped into these buildings 8 years ago, I walked in with a realtor and the owner of the buildings, Rochelle, and I kicked off my shoes, and they both looked at me kind of weird, and I was just like, I guess you've never seen an Asian man walk into his house. I'll take it, right? And the rest is history, in a sense that we've had 8 years of service to our community. And I know like the depth of love that we have had for you. And so when they sold the buildings 5 years ago or so, they showed us what, like, being like truly corporate was like, being kind of at the whim of your landlords was. Because before, Rochelle was anything we needed windows cleaned, we needed anything at all, she would just always come by, check us out, and just say, hey, like, how can I help you, right? And immediately they canceled security, they canceled our surveillance cameras, they canceled all sorts of things that basically led us to believe that they wanted to kick us out and they were probably going to buy us out. We found out that their plans were to build a high-rise loft, which you see so frequently here in San Diego, especially all the gentrification of this neighborhood that, beautifies it and a lot of sorts of things. But what stands in the wake of that often are little businesses like ours, right? And so 5 years ago, they sold the buildings and they put their projects on hold during COVID. And we couldn't not have expected, although I was consistently in their ear, tell me when you're going to tell us. And they said, we're going to give you 3 to 6 months to vacate, and literally to the day. And it's because I forced it out of their mouths, even though we had some patients that are in this world of development saying, hey, did you know that your building is going, like their project is back on? And I had patients tell me that before our landlords did. And so we didn't choose this. We would not have dreamt it up at the beginning of the year, because we had gone through so much as a team and as a company and as a business and as a clinic. And I just have to say, as a family. And so on August 26th, we'll have our last day. in the office. Um, like I said, read the email. It explains a lot further what I've literally been doing for the last several weeks, trying to figure out where and how and what we're going. And we know we have an end date, September 1. They're literally bringing in like demolition teams. And I asked for a day, 2 days, a week, and they said their project begins September 1. So that Friday, August 26th, to give us some time to actually move from here into a new space, we're going to celebrate. And I invite you to be there. I invite you to bring your friends and family, especially those that have been a part of our community, maybe those that haven't, right? And maybe that want to be a part of the future of what we're about. Because it is exciting and I can't wait to share it with you. But September 6th, we will be seeing patients at our new office, which we are in escrow as of this morning, at 324 South Calmia Drive, a couple blocks away from Grand in downtown Escondido. This isn't what we planned. My family closed on a home about a month ago in Escondido, and all I looked for was how I can get my family some space and how I could make the drive here as easy as possible. But what we found over that time, because of very shortly after we closed, we got our notice here saying that we had to leave. And I looked for the smart thing to do and the safe thing to do, right? Because I cared about just how much longevity we've had in this community in particular, and like literally the radius that goes around our office that spans to LA, that spans to Temecula, that spans to Alpine and the Imperial Valley. We have some patients that still come across the border. And we know that there's a radius around our practice that is going to be untenable for some of you if we move so far, but I looked. Dr. Ryan and I were literally looking at surveys, and from Mission Valley to Mission Gorge to Kearny Mesa, and kind of just going up the 15 just to be possible that we'd find something going all the way up. And literally from right down the road to Mission Valley to Kearny Mesa, all the way up, was more of the same, right? It was 3 options really. One was corporate buildings that, in many of the ones that I toured, they prided themselves on the masks signage that they still had up. Shared common areas, shared spaces that we would literally be at the whim of who these landlords are, to high-end retail, which I would love chiropractic. I would love our practice to be in high-end retail, but it just didn't feel right because these spaces were they were cost prohibitive, $7 to $9 a square foot in some of the best, most beautiful centers, or really crappy retail. And really crappy retail is, in my opinion, it's just not our fit, right? And I had a mentor come up to me, and basically he's been guiding me over the last, very concentrated over the last couple of years. And he asked me, why haven't you thought about Escondido? Do you know why you moved there? I'm like, I know exactly why I moved there. I moved there for space, and I moved there because I wanted my family to have a little bit of breathing room, and I wanted my kids to have just a room to run. And he's like, do you know that there's a lot more families that are doing that? And that's been confirmed by several realtors saying that the migration to Northeast County, San Diego is not just real, it's among us. And we're a part of it, literally we're a part of it. And the first city that you come to that has community, which I've experienced looking at spaces consistently aligned with what we believe, is Escondido, where I would go to a rental space and they're like screening me, not really knowing who I am, and screening me essentially like, you're not going to bring some of that weird crap that they have down in, Hillcrest and Bankers Hill and all these kind of neighborhoods up to our area. Almost like, when people get upset about Californians moving to Texas, don't California my Texas. It was a similar energy where I started to just realize that I was meeting people that were in alignment, and I was very forward about our perspectives. And then all those kind of not restrictions, but defensiveness dropped. And that happened not just once, that happened with a realtor, that happened with other businesses, that happened with a lot of other people and then some people that were just like, I know who you are. That led up until last Friday, where I brought the team up and got to show them the space and talk them through the vision of this space that is going to be in phases, but I can't tell you the beauty and the possibility that I experienced just in the process, recognizing that I could potentially serve and practice in a community where I live, which has never happened in my career. And why is that why that's so important is something that we as a family became aware of over the last few weeks, even after we got our notice. It's been thing after thing after thing after thing. If you're a surfer, if you've ever been caught inside, especially on a big closeout day at La Jolla Shores or Scripps, like you're just getting pounded by waves. And I feel like my family's been in that for 3 years, but especially over the last last year and a half. And right after the home closed to the notice to vacate, we started to realize that something was up with my son. And we have an appointment literally in 45 minutes from the recording of this video where I'm taking him to a pediatric ophthalmologist where we're unsure if he can truly see. And all of this movement to Escondido was so uncomfortable because, as my mentor said to me, he's like, I don't think I've ever seen you make a decision for yourself in the 6 years that I've been your coach. And I think it's time now that you consider that. This was before we found out about Luca. And the point of me saying this is it did feel uncomfortable and it did feel self-serving for me to bring the practice up there because it benefited me, and which is what he wanted me to consider. He said, consider how you can be at your very best in this next chapter of your service to humanity. And none of it made sense until we found out about Luca. We've taken him to a developmental optometrist, and they're going to confirm. We need to confirm his refractive error, which is basically how bad his eyes are. He measured somewhere between a -9 and a -13, which he said is probably -11 plus or minus 2, meaning my wife has a -9.5, and when she wakes up in the middle of the night and she's trying to see what time it is because he woke up or something, she puts the phone right next to her face and she says, oh, like he slept really well, like, because that's how bad her vision is, and his is worse. But he's at a time period in his developmental stage that I am literally humbled by, because 11 years of practice and I've never seen one kid. We see some of the most chronic cases of babies, kids that anyone sees in chiropractic, and we see miracles every day. We had a family fly from Queens, New York to be a part of our practice, and in 24 days, getting adjusted twice a day, they saw radical change in miracles. So I know that my son is going to be part of that miraculous change. I just don't know where he's at now. But what I know is that where he is, say, -11 visual refractive error right now in this time period, critically, where he's supposed to be training from his eyes, his retina, the light information goes to the occipital lobe and back, and it creates a normalcy of what the visual picture is going to be in his brain. We don't see in our eyes, we see in our brain. And if he doesn't do that during this time period, he will have a condition called refractive amblyopia, which is basically such that he will have all the anatomy necessary to be able to see normally, but he will not have he would not have trained his brain to see it. So at this stage, I don't know if he's going to need everyday therapies. I don't know if we have to prepare to live life with a child who actually is blind. And because of that, it all made sense to me. And in my gut and in my heart, I know that he's going to do well, regardless of what his outcome is. I know that we're going to love him no matter what. I know that we're going to support him. But I know now more than ever that I want to build a community around us that not only aligns with everything that we believe in, but also is just real in person, as we always have and as chiropractic always will be. And so there's going to be a multitude of responses. And I appreciate and respect all of you for the genuine nature of how you feel about this decision, about this move. And I invite you to share with me either through a response to this email or in person as you come into the office, that some of you are like, I'm in, let's go. I love what you do. I've loved everything. And I'm a lifer. And that's some of you, which we see like every family member, and we see multiple generations in your family. And we know that you're going to live and breathe and die with us. Right. And there's some of you that are thinking like, hey, like the middle group is like, this is going to be really tough, but I'm going to make it work. And then there's going to be some that, we don't know if we can do, we definitely know we can't do it at this rhythm, but maybe we can figure out how to change some things so that we can make it sustainable. And then there's some people, and this is like it breaks my heart knowing that some of you may not be able to come along with us, because that's where I was making all of my decisions from at the beginning, how we can limit the loss. And what I will say is, number one, you're always welcome. And number two, always remember that feeling that you feel when you know that not only is your doctor like clinically like skilled, like in many respects no other that you've ever experienced. Not only are you actually being educated in a lens and a type of healthcare that honestly saves you and your family's lives just by matter of education and empowerment and inspiration and the action that you choose to take. But I want you to remember the community, and I want you to remember what many of you have said, especially over the last 3 years, that your experience here in our office helped you remember what it was like to be human, helped you remember what it was like, not just to be normal and a part of society, but to be a part of society that actually sees, hears, values, and deeply, deeply loves and serves you. And so, in the diversity of the spectrum that you may be feeling, I know that I haven't processed through all of this, but I also know that I have to focus, because in order to make this an amazing move for me, my family, my team, and you, I have to stay in high as a vibration as I know I can be. I have to stay as inspired as I possibly can be. And what I know is that the future of what Future Generations is brighter than ever. This is going to be, in the history of our organization, one of the most beautiful, brilliant, and infinitely wise moves that was 100% divinely ordained, to include my son's challenge. My mom asked me the other day, if you found out about Luca before you found your home, would you guys be in a home? And I said, no. I would have stopped everything to figure out what was going on with him. And we've literally found the home of our dreams. And if I knew about Luca, maybe before, it may have motivated me to go towards Escondido, but it would have made me feel like, what if, choosing Escondido blindly without considering anything else would have made me think, did I do the right thing? And what I know now is that this is the most right decision that I've ever felt divinely guided to make. And what I know is the outcome is going to be a level of success, not only for our community and the vibrancy and the health and the outcomes that we've always hung our hat on, but in the impact that we have made, both locally, in a community that we live in, my family lives in, some of our staff members live in, many of you live in, but we are in the highest concentration of health freedom activists. And some people say for sure Southern is California, but also potentially in the U.S. at large is North County, San Diego. Carlsbad is the 5th richest city, and we are standing up, and we're going to save. For those of you who are not moving, like my family, those of you that are ready to kind of grow those roots even deeper for the type of lifestyle and freedom and liberties and the rightness of the way that we choose to live, this is the rightest move that I could have made. I'm grateful for this opportunity to share with you. I invite you, please read every letter of the blog and email and of the frequently asked questions. And I want you to please show up on August 26th, because I'd love to celebrate with you the impact that we've had. And then on September 6th at 324 South Calmia in Escondido, we're going to be serving up the best adjustments in the county, and we're going to be educating patients with the most powerful, empowering education that exists in the county. And we're going to be literally pouring into a community, you guys, and the surrounding community in a way that we never have before. If you thought we were on fire as an organization before, just wait. Just wait 6 months from now, 6 years from now, 30, 40, 50 years from now. It's going to be one of the most beautiful things that I know. We're all going to be grateful that this decision was made now in the way that it was. I appreciate you guys, love and appreciate you guys. And I can't wait to see you.